And we are live. Hello and welcome to the Douding Thomas monthly recap for November of 2022. We've got Elon Musk on Twitter still. We've got 3D printing and we've got Black Friday and Cyber Monday all queued up for you on this Douding Thomas monthly recap. And joining me is the Thomas to my Douding, Mr. Clifton Thomas. How are you?
Hello. I have no money left, but I'm fine besides that.
I was going to say, I don't think you have any hair left after the technical issues that we went through.
No
leading up
hair,
to this.
and I have filled the swear jar.
Yeah, no kidding. And we're a little bit late on the Doubting Thomas monthly recap because, like last month, we also had some illness affecting things, but this time it wasn't me or Cliff. It was someone closely related to one of us. So we will leave those medical issues in the background. But needless to say, one of us hasn't been very available to do much of anything for the last week.
Is it just me, or has this been an awful, I guess, season or couple of seasons for illness? I have been sick more in the last 6 months than I have been in years.
And you know what? I kind of wonder if, because like the thing is, like during COVID, I was not sick at all because anytime I went out, I wore a mask and I didn't have to be around other people being sick, and my wife and kids were all in schools and they were all wearing masks and nobody brought anything home. It's almost like disease prevention actually works. I don't know.
I'm just going to go live in a bubble and podcast from there.
Ever since mask mandates lifted, which okay, you know what? I'll just say it. It was my family member who was in the hospital, because I was just about to say it was so weird, like being in the hospital and having to wear a mask like all the time, because it's been like 6 months since I've had to do that. So anyway, but yeah, it's almost like ever since the mask mandates have lifted, and my wife's been sick, my kids have been sick, I've gotten sick. We've even had COVID again in the household. So
I've had COVID. I've had the flu, and then my daughter has had both the flu I had, and then also had a stomach virus over Thanksgiving. And my wife has been completely healthy as far as those issues are concerned.
All right then.
So she's just been kind of quarantining herself in one part of the house, and the rest of us have just been slowly dying. Yeah.
I understand. I understand. So speaking of slowly dying.
Oh God. The most depressing transition ever.
Oh no. I mean, so I want to touch on a couple of things that have happened in the Elon Musk Twitter saga. Just because it's frankly dominated the news cycle for the entire month. So I mean, it's really hard to. And, I edit news stories every day. So it's hard to think of like a story that has been more prominent than Elon Musk and his management of Twitter.
And I think that's exactly what he wanted.
I'm positive that's exactly what he was, good or bad. Everyone's going to be talking about me for the next years. Although Tesla, I don't know if you saw this, but earlier this morning, Tesla, or was it yesterday? Tesla launched their 500-mile electric semi truck, and it drove
so it's official. No, I didn't see that. I did see some Tesla news, and this is actually what I thought you were going to say, is that they're offering on existing stock, which in itself kind of surprises me. But the fact that they actually, because forever you've been having to reserve a Tesla, in this case the Model 3.
Oh, okay.
But they are offering a discount of, I think it was like $3,000 and some change
for existing vehicles.
For existing vehicles, right?
Interesting.
For the Model 3 specifically. So, I don't know if there's an asterisk to that, a caveat, but
it's funny considering we actually did a video on this channel within the last few months about how I test drove a Tesla. I have decided I am not buying a Tesla.
Really?
Because I honestly have nothing good to say about the man anymore. Like,
I know.
With just the reports of what's been coming out from employees and ex-employees of Twitter, and what he's expecting them to do and how he's managing things, I've lost all respect for him, and I will not. I'm voting with my wallet. I am not gonna.
So here's what's funny, right? So we live in this connected information age, and because of that, we know so much more about people who are in the public eye. And I just think it's funny. Like, what if people back in the 20s, late teens, early 20s of the last century had said the same thing about a certain Mr. Ford,
yeah,
who was a known anti-Semite and a supporter of the Nazi regime in Germany.
I'm not even talking about that. Like that's not even on my radar. My problem with the way Elon is handling Twitter is, and I've heard the stories about him sleeping on the floor of the gigafactories and
Right.
stuff like that. But here's the thing. Like Tesla and Starlink or not Starlink, SpaceX had basically zero to work with, or very little to work with, by what we know of it today. Like very little of what we have today from Tesla and SpaceX existed back when Elon took over.
Right.
So he has moved the things forward in that way. And
Sure.
so it makes sense that he would be very close to bankruptcy and sleeping on the factory floor and trying to, get squeeze as much out of everybody who's working for him as possible. Twitter was a known product that was working mostly okay.
Right.
Like there was nothing really fundamentally wrong with it, except for one thing. It was too expensive. And that is entirely Elon Musk's own fault.
Yeah.
So like he comes in and all of a sudden he has to start paying $1 billion in interest or whatever every year. And so now he needs to like drastically cut costs by reducing the workforce by 75% at this point. And,
asking people to work 16-hour days or something
and
like
asking
that.
the people that are left to make up for the 75% of people that left, and holding the site together with duct tape and baling wire. That's not anybody at Twitter's fault.
Correct.
That is 100% something that Elon Musk brought onto himself by overpaying for the product in the first place, and then deciding that he needs to make this his Twitter right now.
Right.
So like the Twitter
just
Blue
remaking the product on the fly. And I'm not sure that he
Yeah.
even has a known direction as to where he's going. I mean, he talks about Twitter 2.0, but
Right.
I swear if you watch his tweets and responses to what people are asking for, it's almost like he's just throwing stuff in a bucket into a hat. Oh yeah, we're thinking about adding that. Oh yeah, we're thinking about adding that.
Yeah.
We could do that. It's just
maddening because it was fine. It was like, okay.
Right.
Look, Twitter was not perfect. Twitter was being called a cesspool even before Elon Musk got it into his head that maybe he might want to buy it. But it was working the way it was working. And like, it didn't have to, like, all these super insane deadlines that he is setting are completely arbitrary and completely of his own doing. And that's the maddening part. You could have come in to Twitter and said, okay, nothing's going to change for the first couple of months while I get the lay of the land, figure out who's doing what, figure out what's working, what's not, blah, blah, blah. He didn't do that. He came in and said, this needs to be mine right now. And
from
so
day one,
all of y'all can get on board or get out. And like, I don't agree with that philosophy. My philosophy has always been, let smart people do smart things. And he's not letting do smart things. He's letting like crazy people do insane amount of work things, but that's different, and that's the part that bugs me. So, but anyway, I didn't want to go off on a rant about that. What I did want to talk about was how Elon might be joining the ranks of Tim Sweeney and company to rail against Apple's 30% monopoly tax, which, by the way, let me just go on record. I don't know if that I've ever explicitly said this on the podcast, but when it comes to app distribution, Apple is 100% a monopoly by any definition.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I don't care what any judge says. I don't care what any politicians say. Apple has a monopoly on app distribution on one of the most popular mobile platforms in the world. So that's a problem. Okay, let's just put that out there. Now, that being said, Apple does provide services for that 30% that they charge. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Apple, support has to deal with customers. Apple support has to deal with like payments and money handling and stuff like that. That would be like a nightmare for a lot of developers out there. Like, maybe not huge developers that have, thousands of employees dedicated to marketing or whatever, like Epic. But Apple does provide services for that 30%.
I think the issue for me, just very quickly, with Apple's App Store 30% is that it is absolutely a captive audience, which is what
Mm-hmm.
makes it a monopoly.
Right.
And then if they were to open up iOS to third-party app stores or allow you to sideload apps, then I think I would have less of a problem with it, and then
Mm-hmm.
perhaps competition would dictate what that percentage ultimately might be.
Yeah.
And then their argument against that is
The
the
experience
the experience, or
and the
and
customer
in this
safety.
case the security of their closed platform,
Yeah.
which I get, and you can, as their expensive lawyers do, make an argument for that, but it's also anti-competitive, and I think, I don't know. I mean, there's arguments to be made for it on both sides,
Yeah,
but
absolutely are. Is 30% too much? I don't know. I think maybe it's a tad on the high side, but obviously for everything that Apple offers, and
sure,
especially considering the review that we're going to be publishing next, yeah, there's an argument to be made that Apple knows what it's doing. But anyway, and Elon, like, I don't know if he just he had to have known that Apple charges 30%, right? That can't possibly have, because Elon, tweeted the other day, did you know that Apple's, this is not a direct quote, but did you
mm,
know that Apple charges a secret 30% tax on all app purchases? And everyone's like, yeah,
duh.
like,
Where
like
have you been?
seriously, where have you been? And I replied directly to him and said, I think that you're kidding, but honestly, judging by your tweets, nothing would surprise me anymore.
Right.
But anyway, so like so anyway, so now Elon has fired at Apple, because Apple, during all of this, stopped ad spending with Twitter, which reportedly was, like, I want to say $100 million a quarter or something like that,
Right.
that Apple was buying, and they've suspended, he said, most of their advertising. I don't know what most means, but it probably isn't a good thing. And so or Elon fired at Apple and said, "What's wrong, Tim Cook? Do you hate free speech?" And like, you don't have to do that.
Right.
Um, and I'm just kind of, my thoughts on this are, Apple stopping its ad spend on Twitter advertising, that could be a shot across the bow to
Well,
Twitter.
and if you think about, I was just, as you were sitting here talking about this, I'm thinking about the just off the books, number savings that they have now by firing so many. What was it, like 75% of their workforce?
Yeah, something like that. Well, I
So
mean,
so, so
it
you
was 50%, and then like another 25% left when
of
Elon said,
that,
"Okay,
yeah,
everyone's gonna have to go crazy,"
right.
and everyone's like,
And
"No."
now we're hiring again. That's the other part I thought was funny. We
Yeah.
fired so many people, but now we're hiring.
Hmm.
Um, so you have those, like, I guess, immediate savings, but then if you, because of your actions, you now have lost Apple's, what you said, $100 million in advertising. So
A ton of
does that
advertising. Yeah.
does that balance out? Like,
I don't
are
know.
they back to square one? I don't know, and they can't be the only one.
Yeah. And I mean, there has been talk about Apple or Google potentially removing Twitter from the App Store.
Right.
I honestly don't see that happening.
No.
Well, I mean, because a lot of people are saying, well, if this becomes like a platform, because Parler got pulled from the app stores
Yeah. Yeah.
for doing what Twitter seems to want to do these days. So it's not completely unprecedented, but at the same time, like, Elon came back and said, "Well, if they do that, I'm just going to have to make my own phone." And ladies and gentlemen, this is the reason that we're even talking about Elon Musk and Twitter,
Right.
was because somebody, I don't know who, I'm not going to say their name, but somebody tweeted to Elon saying, "I call BS that Apple never considered it. They felt the blowback and saw the prospect of Elon making his own phone and are now backpedaling faster than Deion Sanders in his prime." And just the idea that somebody in this world thinks that Apple would be even slightly afraid of Elon Musk making a phone is just,
I don't know. I mean,
tell you what, I'm gonna mute. You go ahead and say what you were gonna say.
No, I just didn't want to us end up sounding like the evil henchman and Dr. Evil doing the the left together because I thought about it. No, I was just going to say that if there is somebody who possibly could pull that off, it might be Elon Musk based on his past I guess you'd say success or accomplishments. So it did take a long time. And I mean, I was going to say that, okay, well, it's kind of it's if Microsoft couldn't do it, if the one of the founders of Android couldn't do it, even in like a niche role. I mean, I find it very hard to believe that that Elon could have much success. But then, I mean, he totally did disrupt the established the established automakers with in car market with what Tesla introduced. So I mean, I don't know, anything's possible, but yes. Yeah, that.
Okay, I'm back. Did you say something?
Yes, I did. Great.
No. So I agree. I agree to a point with what you said. Like, I suppose if there is one company that could possibly potentially pull something like that off, it's probably this guy. But okay, I gotta stop laughing because otherwise we're gonna eat in too much of the show.
I know. I mean, I saw this in real time as it was happening, and first of all, my Twitter stream was just full of very funny things, and I was very distracted and trying not to pay attention. I think I was actually working from home that day, but I was trying not to be distracted and sitting there and watch my phone instead of doing my work. But yeah. It's here's the thing, though. I mean, he said this. He said this as an offhand comment. If I remember right, the response was somebody asked him something like, "Are you gonna have to make your own phone?" And Elon said, "I might just have to do that." I don't think that he said that with any certainty or really thought about it that much before he said it. It's just
well, to be fair, he did buy Twitter under the same pretenses.
That's true.
So, I mean, like that 5420 thing was an offhanded comment that he made on Twitter, and suddenly it was in an FTC filing. So who knows? Or FAA, whatever alphabet soup company you had to, or government agency you had to do that with. But
it's not like but here's the thing. He, with every past success, has purchased a company to at least have a foundation.
Yes.
I mean, HTC's already been purchased. I mean, who else is really out there? LG's mobile assets, like distressed assets that I guess you could.
Didn't those get sold?
I don't know. That's a good
swear
question.
to God they got sold. I swear somebody bought that. But yeah,
Palm. I mean, there's just not really a nascent company out there that's just trying to make it work. What's the Awesome, I think it's called. That looks like awesome, but it's awesome.
How about Unihertz?
They're doing like a crypto phone thing. I mean,
Unihertz is kind of a small company.
Well, I'm sure there are some Chinese smartphone manufacturers.
Yeah, probably
true.
There's probably a lot of phone manufacturers that are out there that are just not on our radar just because of, their local markets. There's probably a few manufacturers that only distribute in India or Africa or something like that are just not on our radar. So
you could buy Infinix.
There you go. But anyway, so we should probably move on. This month, for Beyond a Doubt, we went a little bit off script. Pun intended. Talking to Joe Malazzi, who was an executive producer of Stargate and Dark Matter, which I've almost finished. I've got like 3 or 4 episodes.
Had you watched it before?
I hadn't. So, and I kind of discussed this in on that particular show. For some reason, I started watching Dark Matter, and the story that I told myself at the time was I couldn't get into it. But at the same time, like, I know that I never watched more than like half of the first episode. So I think what happened was it's not that I couldn't get into it. It's just I had something else that I was already watching and I just never got back to it. Because it's a really good show.
Yeah, that was a sci-fi original, wasn't it?
It was originally a comic book that Joe Malazzi made. And then then they adapted it to TV, and I believe it was a sci-fi. Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know. I'm not even sure sci-fi. I guess Now that I don't have
it's
YouTube TV anymore, I'm
we
kind of
don't
like,
think
I don't
about
even know if
channels anymore.
sci-fi exists anymore.
Right now, Dark Matter lives on the CW app, which is a terrible app. I
Oh,
do not recommend it. There's no account system, so you have no like
oh,
watch history. The only watch history you have is on the local device that you're watching on.
and I think the CW as it exists is now dead. So who knows where
Yeah,
that'll end up? Maybe on like
it was
I
on
forget.
Netflix. You know what? Was it a Netflix show?
I don't know. I all I
Oh,
know is that the
yeah,
CW is going away, and I think that's a Warner Brothers property. So I don't know where all that content will end up. I honestly don't.
yeah. I
Hell,
don't
where am
know.
I going to be able to watch my Dawson's Creek if I want to? I'm just
I
kidding.
know. I mean, like this is a problem that we all have to deal with.
Right. This
Um,
is actually a problem, though. You know it because before, if you wanted to watch something, and I know I am going off script, but just very quickly here, it's like this is the problem now is like going out and finding where things live now. It's so all over the place, all these
yeah,
repositories.
yeah,
um I had an experience like that the other day, just trying to figure out where I could watch Rick and Morty, one of my favorite shows, and I
yeah.
ended
I
up
know
having to go
you.
to the cartoon because Hulu has it, but they don't have the latest season
Oh,
anyway. But this is
okay.
a problem I think that a lot of people are running into now. But
And I think,
yeah, Dark Matter, I think I watched maybe some of the first season of it, and I
yeah,
did like it, but just like you were saying, I think
it was a sci-fi show, by the way.
okay, that's what I thought. And I remember it's again, I think it's like the dog and Up. Ooh, something new and shiny.
Yep,
And
something
I
like
just
that.
kind of yeah, my attention gets drawn elsewhere all the time. And there's probably a lot of stuff that I liked that I haven't finished all the
Yeah.
seasons of.
Now, I thought, and I kind of tried not to do this, but I didn't want to turn that particular interview into like, hey, you remember this on Stargate? Hey, you remember this on Stargate? I intentionally did not want to do that. What we ended up doing was talking a lot about like what it is like to be an executive producer, to be
Mhm.
in a writer's room, to oversee an entire production, how to work with
Right.
actors and stuff like that. So I think it was a really cool like behind the scenes look that could have worked with any executive producer, but it was Joe Malazzi, so I was super geeked. Uh, but
I
so
knew
that
you were going to be very excited for that
yeah.
when I saw when you told me that we got him booked for an interview. I'm like, oh well, I don't know how Adam's going to contain himself.
Yeah, it was hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was quite difficult. And actually,
Fanboying out.
I found out that there's actually a Stargate convention going on in Paris this weekend. So,
Ho ho!
Stargate
Sorry
Paris
to all our
Magna
French
is
listeners.
is trending on Twitter actually. Um,
Interesting.
so I thought that was kind of fun. But what I'm doing actually is I'm using Stargate as a vehicle to transition over into our next topic, which is I
I
have
was wondering if
discovered.
you were going to do that with 3D
Yes,
printing.
I
Yeah.
have discovered the world of 3D printing. Now, don't get me wrong, 3D printing has been around for a while, obviously, but
Mm.
I just started messing around with it because, first of all, I want to start this off with a PSA, which is to say, if you don't have a 3D printer, totally get it. I don't have room for a 3D printer like anywhere in my house. But what I do have is a library card, and my local library actually has a 3D printer. Actually, I think they have a bank of 3D printers. And what you can do, at least with my library, and I'm sure a lot more libraries out there than you probably think, I can actually download 3D print files and send them to my local library, and they will print them out for
Oh
you for the
wow! So you don't
cost
even
of
have to bring it in on a thumb drive or something. You
no.
just email it to them and
You
they print
just
it for you.
you email it to them. They say,
Huh?
okay, that'll be like $5 in what do they call that? Filament.
Right.
And you're like, okay, cool, done. You just tell them like what colors you want, and yes,
Sorry.
could have just talked through that, but anyway. Uh, so yeah, you tell them what colors you want. Now, before I show you something, I need to give off a little bit of a spoiler. First of all, we need to bring up Mr. Review Cam. Hello, Mr. Review Cam.
Review
Still
cam.
looking for a name for the review cam, so drop a name down in the comments. But so I need to give a little spoiler. What I'm about to show you is a puzzle. So if you do not want to see a puzzle solution, look away now. But this is speaking of Stargate, this is a puzzle that I printed out that I had printed. So
You think
this
there's
is,
people out there that are triggered by puzzles? I mean, I guess it could be a thing.
I don't know. Well, some people don't want to be like, oh, I don't want to know how to solve it because, this thing,
Oh, I see.
because, yeah. So anyway, so this is, a Stargate, obviously. And then this is the event horizon of the Stargate. And this comes out. Now, these pieces are a little funky because I think I screwed up when I sent them the files. But this, comes out into a whole thing, and you have to put it together and solve it. And I cannot do this without having the solution in front of me. This is a very complicated puzzle.
Does look
But
like it, yeah.
I also printed up a little staircase for
a
it,
little
so you can
stand,
actually
yeah.
you can fit the Stargate in there, and it'll stand up. So
Oh,
you can't
cool.
really see it like that, but so anyway, so that is how I would normally display this once I put it back together after this show.
You're not going to
But
do it on air?
no, I'm not going to do it on air because like I said, I can't do it without having a solution directly in front of me. But my brother also has a 3D printer, and he printed up a few things for me, which I'm going to show you right now. And he actually did these. He actually sent me time lapse files of time lapse videos of the files being printed. So check out this one. This is the Rebels logo from Star Wars.
Oh, this is cool. Whee!
So
how
and
awesome.
Then, yeah. And then this is the Stargate symbol. Same deal.
Huh.
So that's fun. And then I think this is the one that you'll get a kick out of. This is a Star Trek communicator.
Yeah, I see that.
So, and this is, he
Is that a
doesn't have,
metallic filament?
it's like a silvery
Okay.
filament. It's plastic. It's like silver
Right.
plastic.
No, I just meant like a metallic look.
Yeah. For scale, this is about 7 inches wide.
Okay. That's so it looks like it's got like a 10-inch bed.
Yeah, something like, I think the total bed is like 8 point something, but yeah, basically. And this is a printer. This is a 3D printer that normally costs around $200.
Okay.
I think so. But yeah, so he printed those out for me. So if you'll be seeing those logos back here.
I kind of wondered if I'd see them on this episode. So
no, not yet. I don't have them just yet. But what I do have is my brother sent me, and I posted these pictures on Twitter yesterday. I don't have it with me anymore because I actually gave this to a Stargate loving friend of mine.
The framed one.
Yeah, so he
Sorry,
printed
I keep
up,
jumping the shark, but I did see that. Yeah,
you did. He printed up a smaller version of the Stargate logo, and let me just, I think it's gonna pop over to Instagram. So yeah, what I did was I mounted it on some foam board and then put it into a picture frame, and then I have a second view of it. So from the side, you can see.
Yeah, you can definitely see the extrusion. Like that's the thing with 3D printing, just a little bit more there. But yeah, I think 3D printing is so cool. I don't know if I've said this before on the podcast, but my brother is a PLC engineer, which is like controls and industrial things.
Oh, okay.
For automation mostly, and so he prototypes a lot of the things that he designs on a 3D printer.
Okay.
Used to be at work, and then they would actually, I guess the size of the one that he had at work was large enough to where he could do, and the quality of it was good enough to where sometimes he'd actually do stuff with pressure on them, which was kind of interesting. But now he has one at home as well. So I mean, you really can do, it's more than just printing something to have on your wall or a toy or a puzzle. I mean, engineers. I mean, I know, like I've seen like in Microsoft's hardware division, they have that completely closed off room where they prototype out like mice and test the ergonomics and test different colors and things like that, and all of that is done with 3D printing, which I think is really cool. Now, what do you have up here?
So this is so I was going to say, you might be thinking to yourself, like, so I'm interested in getting into 3D printing, but I don't know anything about CAD software. How could I possibly do this? So this is a website called Thingiverse, which is where people can upload their projects, their 3D printed projects, to like a central repository. And there's a couple of these. There's Thingiverse, and there's one called, I think, printables, I believe.com. But anyway, so I was just looking at this. This is kind of interesting. It's a drilling tool / dust collector. So like you can,
how cool.
So you can print this up. This is the file for it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you drill through here and it collects the stuff in the cups here. And then you just click on, download the files, and, you have to like log in and stuff. But, and you can download, whatever files you need. Like, I believe I found Stargate. I mean, if you just do a search for Stargate, like, you get the SGC logo, you have this. Oh, this is actually kind of cool. This is like one of the spaceships from Stargate, where you can print out these things. And I want to say there's like how many different there's 19 different files that you have to print in order to like assemble this. So, but it's still kind of cool, like the fact that I'm actually kind of tempted, to be honest, to put one of those things together. But like you can, people will make designs where you can actually embed lights into them and stuff like that.
I see that.
There's a DHD one that I'm actually having my brother print up for him. This is the dial home device thing here. This part here is called the dial home device. My brother is currently printing this up, and I want to say it's not this particular one, but it's one like this. But the one that he's printing, you can actually buy like LEDs and like an Arduino, so you can, like, as you press the keys on the DHD, it'll actually light up, and you can actually download a separate Stargate that will light up the chevrons, like as you press the DHD. It's really neat. Like, and there's just some. I mean, it's just the engineering possibilities here are just crazy. And like, here's one with a Stargate with symbols on it, so that you can download. I presumably you can get like all the different symbols around the Stargate. Like, there's just so much. And this is just Stargate. Like, this is when you consider like among the the nerds out there how small the Stargate pool is. If you do like something like Star Trek, good Lord, I don't even want to. It's like there's a communicator, there's a phaser, there's another communicator, there's the Enterprise. Is this like oh my god, is this like a Star Wars battleship? That's cool. There's Yep, right. There's Voyager. That's my favorite ship among the Star Trek ships. So I mean, there's just like so much stuff here that you can download, and you can print these up yourself.
Oh, there's a phaser.
Yeah. And so like if I wanted to print up this phaser, there's 7 different files. So I would just download the 7 different files. I would send them in an email to my library and say, print this up in silver and I'll paint it later. And
I'm feeling we might not see much of you in the next few months.
No. No, because the library does all the work. It's the beautiful thing.
That's true.
Like this Stargate puzzle that I had printed up was like $6. Like it's stupid cheap too. So yeah, it's a good time. And just like like I said, if you're thinking about 3D printing, but you're like, I don't know CAD or anything like it, you don't have to. I found another thing that I found on here, I think that might have been on Printables, was like I downloaded a hidden shelf that you can download. So it's like a tray that you mount to the wall, and then you slide a shelf over it, and you can put other stuff on it, so you can like hide money in a shelf or something like that. It's just such cool stuff here. And they've got
and you're just looking at that one little niche. Like, to me, I would be interested to see what you can print. And I know that that there's probably plenty of it out there, but the stuff that's more functional.
Oh, here's
not
something.
Necessarily just like collectibles and things like that. Just things like that. The drill with dust collector thing that you had up there. That kind of stuff, to me, like I could, like, as an example, I could really use something to hold up a smartphone for when I'm doing like a review or something, just to stand.
You see what I have here?
I do.
It's a mounting bracket for a microphone arm.
Yeah,
so podcasters out there, if you broke your mounting bracket, I want to say, like, am I logged into here? I am. What did I actually downloaded a few things. You were talking about a smartphone holder, and I think that was one of them. I downloaded some kind of smartphone holder. I don't remember what it was, but I mean, well, let's just search for it.
Well,
Smartphone
let's just
holder.
search for it. Oh
Let's
yeah.
just search for it. They have like iPhone cases on here that you can download. Printables is behaving very slowly today for some
Yeah, I
reason.
see that. I think we're using up all your bandwidth with our video here.
Maybe. Oh, so that's interesting. So headphone and smartphone holder and
Yeah.
universal smartphone holder. And a car smartphone holder and a snowy mountain smartphone holder for some reason.
And also this.
Oh, this is interesting. This universal smartphone holder thing. It looks like I don't know like which part they're actually printing here, but it's just going so slow. I don't want to dig into it. But anyway, the point is 3D printing is kind of fun, kind of nerdy. And if you want to get into it, there's a decent chance that there is some kind of resource out there that
Yeah.
can, print stuff up for you.
It's more accessible than you thought.
Yeah, it's more accessible than you thought. It's just like I don't know, VR. But anyway,
but better.
so I'm done nerding out now. We can move on to the last topic for the day. And I just wanted, like, I don't know about you. I did not take advantage of a whole lot of Black Friday, Cyber Monday stuff. I was just kind of wondering, since you're the one who's reputedly really bad with money, what did you think about Black Friday?
Let me tell you about my money spending.
Right.
So I actually, just on a wild hair, because there were some really good deals on a few things out there. I tried to purchase a Galaxy Z Fold 4.
Oh yeah,
which is the larger of the two foldables that Samsung sells. And I mean, I got it to, because Samsung offers crazy trade-in deals around times like Black Friday or when a new device is introduced. And so I had it to less than $200. And I really wasn't giving up anything that I was using that much. But because I try not to use credit cards any more than I have to, which is kind of funny considering how bad I am with money. That just shows you how much worse I'd be if I use credit cards very much.
Seriously.
Right. But because I was using a debit card, I think because the asset was so, the fact that it's a $1,800 item before you start trading things in.
Yeah.
It was they were wanting, I think they were wanting a credit card. So it kept taking my money and then giving it right back and saying that the order was canceled. And they never gave me a reason why. They just said use a different payment method. I'm like, what is going on? And anyway.
So they kind of saved you from yourself a little bit.
It did, yeah. The Samsung wouldn't take my money, so I didn't buy one of their products. So instead, I spent money on other things, right? So something that I had been wanting to do was upgrade my daily carrying bag for when I go down to when I work out of the home office at my employer. And it's also something I can clear out and throw my own tech into if I ever go to like a CES, or if I'm traveling and I'm staying in a hotel and I just want to take some goodies with me. So I did a lot of shopping around. I ended up actually with a bag from a creator. Which is being produced in batches.
Okay.
So it's from Linus Tech Tips.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, he has a bag that is a great gear bag for someone like me, because it's designed for somebody who carries smartphones and laptops and tablets, and it's heavily reinforced with the straps and things like that. That's one of the things that I think so many people have issues with if they carry things that are heavy, is just the binding and things like that with the where they attach to the bag will sometimes rip. And it's got really great cooling. It's wonderful in that. I don't know if you ever have carried a lot of stuff in a bag that isn't balanced really well, and then you set it down and it just flops it right over. That's an issue I have with the bag I'm currently using, because I haven't really moved into this bag yet. So this one has a lot of structure, which I really like. It's almost like a box in that respect. So yeah, it's not cheap. It's $250. I did order one. Yeah, but this bag should be the only bag I need for a very long time.
I was gonna say, you don't have it yet, do you?
No, I actually got it in a couple of days ago, but I haven't had a chance to. I don't have it. In fact, honestly, I don't think I can fit it on camera. It's a big one. I think it's a 35 cubic feet or whatnot. That doesn't sound right. Cubic
No.
inches. I think that's right. As
Yeah,
far
that
as how,
could be off too. But
but
liters, I believe
liters.
is the
That's
word
what
you're
I'm
looking
looking
for.
for.
Yes.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
not. My bag lingo is not up to snuff, obviously. So that I just got that in the other day. I ordered. Actually, I ordered a new webcam because this one's making me mad.
Okay.
Now that I'm using it on a Mac, it's just it cut out on me. In fact, while we were, it's one of the tech troubles we mentioned earlier. So
Yeah, okay.
I got one from Lumina, which is a horribly named company.
Yeah,
Because
seriously.
it just reminds me of
Wasn't that a
a
car in the
90s,
80s?
like an early 90s Chevrolet that wasn't a particularly great car.
Okay. Okay.
But this is from a startup company. It's supposed to give you um, near DSLR quality video and depth of field thanks to artificial intelligence.
Oh, interesting.
What I like about it is it's very small, so it's actually one I could throw into my bag for my laptop. It should be way better quality than the built-in camera on, and this one actually has microphones built into it as well for
Hmm.
either my Mac or my PCs if I'm using it at work. So looking
Okay.
forward to that. I have not received that yet. It's like a lot of things from smaller companies. It takes forever to ship and then to get to because they use, ground shipping and
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
trying to think what other thing did I get? I ordered I ordered a ratcheting screwdriver because I can't find any of the screwdrivers I have around my house
Okay.
because my wife just borrows my tools and never puts them back where I had them originally. So
Oh, sure. Blame the wife.
in this case, I am, and she knows it. She'd admit it. She has what she calls her bag of tools, which is literally just a bunch of random tools thrown into a basket,
Okay.
and or basket of tools, which sounds like somebody that's Irish. Hey,
See,
the basket of tools.
when it comes to tools, I know there's about a 50-50 chance that either my kids took it or I just
Right,
didn't put it
right.
back properly. So either is
Absolutely.
likely.
And I came from a household where my dad was absolutely just obsessive, like OCD
Mm,
about keeping his tools together, and I
okay.
understand why now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how that works.
So that I have one coming from Mega Pro, which is a Canadian company that's supposed to be really good, and it
Huh.
wasn't cheap. It was like $35, but it's very highly rated. So,
Fun.
and I'm gonna throw that into my Linus Tech Tools bag, so I always know where it is.
There you go.
And let's see what there was one other
Nice,
thing.
nice crossover there.
Yeah,
I went to Menards and bought some dog beds. That was about all I did.
I wish we had a Menards here. Menards is great.
You can save big money at Menards.
Yeah,
This podcast not brought to you by Menards.
not brought to you by Menards, but
Call
we
us.
enjoy some Menards. Let's see. I did do some Christmas shopping. I was trying to think if there was any like fun, if there were any other fun
Like tech related
gadgets
stuff.
that I received, but no, I think that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. But I mean, even that was it's probably more money than I needed to spend. But oh,
Fair.
actually, that's not true. There was
Okay.
one other thing I ordered. So we have some true wireless headphones that we are in the process of reviewing. You and I both
Oh
have
yeah.
them.
Yes,
And
we do.
I was so enamored with the ones that I have that I ordered the newer version of it, which was
Oh,
on
you did?
sale.
Okay.
And I
All
did.
right.
So
We'll have to wait until the review to talk about
yeah.
the newer versions.
Exactly. But that I was like, I know there's something else. Okay.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
yes, Cliff was irresponsible with money, but that's not exactly news to anybody who
No.
listens or
No,
watches this podcast.
that
So
is part of our mission statement to
it
to
is.
be
It is.
frank.
I spend
But
money so you don't have to.
exactly, exactly. All right. So I've been futzing around with this puzzle while you were talking, and it's not
I
going
noticed
anywhere.
that
So I'm just gonna
on Mr.
put it
Review
away.
Cam. By the way, you guys, I know Adam keeps saying this, but a couple of things we really need from you, and I know you'll reiterate this, but we need subscribers and we
Yes.
need reviews
Yes.
and we need a name for Mr. Review Cam.
We do, because review cam's so boring. And if I get my way, I'm probably gonna name it Ernest, and we don't want that.
Bob.
Mm. No, Bob, Top Gun Maverick already took that name. But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, I don't think there was anything that I necessarily bought. And one one of the things that I'm still kind of giddy about is despite the fact that Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Amazon Prime days and stuff like that are such like balls to the wall, like
For you guys, yeah.
flat out, like it is insane how much people work in my industry work on Black Friday. I still have not had to go through a Black Friday because, as it turns out, Gear is super chill about it. They're like,
That's
we're
nice.
we're just gonna pre-write some stuff and we'll just publish it and it'll be fine. And we're just like, okay,
I
that's cool.
mean, I for years have basically just ignored Black Friday and Cyber Monday simply because I worked retail in like the height that just a little bit before the real height of when retailers were open on Thanksgiving and they
Yeah.
made Black Friday like a 3-day event. That was right before that, but I still worked. I remember I was at Circuit City and I had it turns out I had walking pneumonia, although it hadn't been diagnosed with that at that time. And I just felt so sick. And my boss said, "Nope, you can't leave. Just go grab a hand truck and bring stuff out from the warehouse.
Just go die in a corner and
Exactly.
then we'll pick you up and roll you out of here later."
It was to the point where this is funny. I'm tying together Black Friday and the fact that we've been ill.
Yeah,
But,
there you go.
right? So
neat little bow there. I like it.
I was running a cash register. I remember this, and just the people that were in the line. I mean, it was one of those, wrapped around the block kind of lines, and I just remember people saying, "You look awful. You should not be here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I really don't want to get you sick either." And my boss was like, "Well, you just don't need you public facing. You can just bring out totes from the back."
Wow, your boss sounds kind of Elon Musk-ish.
Yeah, just work 16 hours and you'll get ahead.
Yeah.
Or you can keep your job. But yeah, so the point being of me talking about all that, so I guess I had a little PTSD for years. I was just like, I want nothing to do with this. I've seen some terrible things. I've seen babies knocked out of strollers and basically walked all over because there was a line at the door and the doors open and people came running in. So I saw that firsthand.
Black Friday, bueno.
It seems to become like just like your employer. I think in general, I think
super a little chill. Yeah,
it's become a lot more chill. There was sort of the pendulum swung the other way.
One thing that we considered doing was picking up Best Buy had like a TCL TV, 55-inch TCL TV for like $200
something.
I was so tempted for that, but then I'm just like, we never watch TV in our house, so never mind. Not really. I mean, not as a family, not in an environment where we would need a TV. Like, I watch stuff, my wife watches stuff, my daughter watches stuff, my son watches stuff, but we don't really watch stuff together. So
my wife and I watch, but I swear my wife's on her smartphone the whole time anyways. It really doesn't matter.
Right. And there is always that too. But anyway, yeah. So I was tempted, but I didn't pull the trigger on that. That was the only thing that was really like, oh, interesting. But it's funny because I remember how Black Friday used to be a time to go out and get gifts for other people, and now it's just go out and get cheap stuff for yourself. One last spending splurge before you have to buckle down for the holidays, I guess.
I've always felt, though, here's the thing, right? Because back then, and when I was working, and I think it's been that way for a long time, but you had like the loss leader things that would get people in the door, like a $200, usually was a no-name TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was, most of the time, the things that were offered I'd never found something that someone was really wanting or needing that was on those like crazy deals, right? So I've just, it almost felt like I would buy something that someone didn't need. It's like, here, this was really cheap. Enjoy this horrible, tablet, like Android tablet.
Yeah.
It's just, So I know that, especially with TVs, of course, TVs are so cheap now anyway, unless you go for the really high-end ones. But I never really found anything on a Black Friday that I just couldn't live without.
Right.
Maybe, phones, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I tend to buy phones as they come out anyway.
Me too.
So yeah. Anyway, well, I'll tell you what. We should go ahead and wrap things up, though, because I think we've gone a little bit. We've gone long enough here, and we still have a couple shows that we need to get to.
We do.
Behind the scenes stuff. But anyway, for this episode, that is going to do it for this episode of the podcast. Please consider subscribing to this podcast if you enjoyed it. And if you really enjoyed it, I would love it if you would write a review for the show, as Cliff just asked you to do. If you're watching this on YouTube, click that subscribe button so you can be notified of new episodes and reviews as they drop. And if you want some early access, jump onto Patreon at patreon.com/benefit of the doubt. I'd like to thank co-producer Cliff for all of his hard work behind the scenes, but most of all, and as always, I'd like to thank you, you for listening and for giving us the benefit of the doubt.